Welcome to Warblog. I'm just going to jump straight back into this one because I tried playing it before and I couldn't move anything because the drag thing wasn't working, and I feel a bit crap about that, so I sort of wanted to just jump into it, just do some of the movement. I'm not going to go too far through to it, but the only thing to just say, it wasn't even anything to do with my browser. I just had too much open. I started shutting things down, and I shut a lot of other things down before I shut Firefox down. When I got to shut Firefox down, I realised it all started working again. It's just when the memory gets, I've got 16 gigabytes of RAM, and it just woof. I had 8 gigabytes before, and I never had these problems. So you just, I don't know. Anyway, so I'm going to. Basically, what I was saying was my strategy is going to be essentially to go down these two roads, and so that's it. So I was going to put, well, so what did it take me to move through there? 1.5, so I can move 2. So I can move into there and engage this turn. Three, 4, 5. If I go through the road, it might be quicker than going cross country, I wonder. So what have we got in here that we want to split up? Well, we've got artillery, so I want to I want to arrange an artillery base, but they've only got 3 movement, so they're presumably towed. If I move there and there, that will probably be nearly 3. If I move there, it'd probably be about 2. Let's see what happens. 1.2 left. So this would be a small fraction off of that, 1.8. So that still wouldn't make any difference. So moving forward, the only thing I'm doing that sort of I'm a bit conscious of is moving them before I fire. I tend to always fire and then realise that once you fire, all your movement's gone. And the thing is, I want to make sure that I've got some defence on that. I'm looking through the pile. Oh, I've got some more. In theory, I've got some more artillery in there. No, I don't. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 armour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to leave 2 mechanised here. Now he moved there, that cost him 1.5. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get there in less than 1.5. So 2 mechanised are going to stay there. I want to protect this artillery as a conscious effort, but I also want to leave them there as a reserve. So that gives me, what have we got left in this stack? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 3 on either side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3 there and 2 there. So 3 mechanised this way. Doesn't really matter. It's lost in the stack. Let me reload that. It's one of the little quirks. Did I reload it? Come on. So what have we got? So I've got... I haven't moved any of these rockets out, have I? No. It only looked like there's 3, maybe I don't know what happened there. So I've got 2 armour in here that need to be moved out. Okay, so that's that stack. There's only 3 in there. I thought there were 4 for some reason. I'm sort of, because this is sort of a little bit behind on the stacking things, just depending on when you stack it, etc. So we've now, this is going to stay there and do whatever it's going to do. And now I think I'm going to use my artillery 1, 2, 3, 4 to attack there. No effect. 0.3. So that's 2 damage, that's pretty good. Okay. And some air power. Might as well just push it. So it's 2.8. So they're at 75% effectiveness. Now what we've got in here, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and he's got 3. Let's have a look at the terrain values for hills. The defence is doubled in hills. Is that right? Presumably. Yeah, well, that's what it says. So they're doubled, so they're going to be worth 6, but they're worth 7.75. So they're going to be worth. Why can't I do that? It's 6 times 0.75. So it's 4.5. Why was that so difficult? It's because I'm trying to focus on other things and in the world, I think. Okay, so they're going to be worth 4.5 in there, and we're going to be worth 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we'll have a 2 to 1. After all that preparation, 2 to 1. Now this is what I was sort of getting to when I sort of introduced the game, is that I want to play it, but I don't want to be making any mistakes, and a 2 to 1 is just not enough. So I think in this instance I'm not going to go through that attack. I mean, the reason being because, you know, obviously depending on what they do, we'll have more artillery the next turn, but we'll be able to sort of expand around the flanks and get a 20% bonus. You know, so we'll be able to get it up to the 3, possibly the 4 to 1. Possibly he'll move away anyway, and that's another aspect. I should really give these little things names because I really like them as terms. It's, you know, you're presenting the battle, and this is what I read in some of these other sort of volumes. You're presenting the threat. You're presenting the threat of battle. You're presenting the threat, so to speak. And as a result, they will say, okay, we're not going to win this battle, and so we'll leave. So you don't actually have to do the battle, and that's, I think, key to just, you know, strategic thinking really in these games that I like. It's an angle that you don't really often see in normal gameplay, because if you can do the battle, then you do it, so to speak, and it's just a case of just throwing everything against everything. Whereas in this game, we've decided that we're maintaining our move that there. We're maintaining our positions like that. So we've got our line, and we're focusing on this, the assault along this road and this road, with these forces split up accordingly. But we're not doing anything that's going to cost us anything. But the spin side to that strategy is that we can't just sit there forever, because we will be getting some flak from these units in whatever capacity that flak entails. It could be them choosing, because we're moving slowly along this front, to to do some sort of assault against these units. Now they don't stand a chance with these regular units, but they've got some irregulars in here. These regular units, they've got some irregular units in here that they could probably come out and do, in a combined sort of assault, cause some damage along here. So we've got to keep this pressure up, but there's no urgency, and it's that urgency that I'm sort of always trying to sort of, I don't know, deal with, in the sense that there's no need just to do these things. And from a gaming perspective, I think that it gives me not so much that's where the satisfaction is, because it's not, but it's a satisfying aspect of it. Being able to sort of say, okay, well, we're going to do this, and we don't have to engage because we know that they're going to move, and that is maneuvering and positioning and people doing things. And to some extent, I've seen it in games. They know they're going to lose, and so they don't do it. But the thing is, usually that's because they've moved all their movement points, and they don't have the ability. So in a game where you might have to sort of, you've moved people, but they can't engage until next turn. You say, well, we're going to lose next turn. Most games I've seen when people play, if they can do that attack, they will. And 2-to-1 would be a sort of, but so playing like that, you could play a whole game where you don't engage in any combat because everything has been done on movement. But obviously that would, at the end of the day, probably be not as satisfying, because otherwise you could, presumably there would be no odds. I mean, there is the element of chance in all of that, etc., etc. So I'm going to leave it at that. So what can they do back? Well, we can see that they're pushing. We know pretty much where they're pushing, because we can see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, what's going to cause the biggest problems? What do we do here? Well, we start off maybe by bringing him forward. We'll leave him there because he's close to our objective. Leave him there because he's close to our objective. Here, we'll leave these where they are. Now the question here is, do I pull them back? Which I think might be a good move, but the reason being because otherwise he will just move there and get a very easy attack. Do that. But if I move back, because basically what I'm thinking generally is just moving. If I can find this unit, for example, into there, and that changes the odds. It almost becomes impenetrable. But the thing is, it will probably then bring up the Turkish forces, get these surround, and push in with greater odds. Which, if I move back now to there, it's conceding some ground, but it means he doesn't get that attack next turn. You see, this is what I like about this game. I'm sitting here thinking, well, what do I do? What is the best move? And it's not that important or significant overall, but it's what provides that sort of degree of interest for me, really, because you're sort of thinking, well, and I am just playing off the fly here, but if I do leave him there and put him into there, he'll be worth whatever he is. Now he will recover 1, so he'll only be 1.2, so he'll be worth about 6 entrenched, plus him coming in there with, well, he'll be worth about 5 entrenched, with him 11. So they'll still be pushing that 1 to 2. We can almost also deny them this mountain hex by moving in there. It's sort of thinking about all the aspects. We've got some irregulars, but there are only 3. What would be nice? What we could do? See, we can't really deny them that hex, without really just putting ourselves in a difficult position against all of this. We could take that hex out and leave that. I'm going to do that actually. I'm going to keep the battle forward. I'm going to deny them that hex. I'm sure I moved him. Yep. Okay. So, what do I want to leave in there? Well, I think I want to leave my artillery, my anti-aircraft, an infantry company, but everyone else will move out. So we'll move an anti-tank company there. I'm just going to spill them out actually, just to start off with. Be nice to have them in a central position. He'll stay there, he'll stay there. Got one of these infantry units. See, look, that really just sort of piles up. So let's get some anti-tank in there. I just want to run out of movement. So that's that angle there. It looks a lot different. These stacks are quite misleading when they're above 4 because you can't see how deep they are. I mean, you know, this stack should be, you know, coming up to sort of there-ish. There's quite a lot of units in there. Again, we're going to play the same sort of thing here. So we're going to keep as our base infantry, artillery, air defence. Doesn't matter which way around we do it. This is the last unit to move out. This one. Move him there. And that's it. And now, and this is what I was talking about earlier to some extent, I use my artillery in here. So they just can't afford to just sit there because they're being hurt by this artillery. Not very much, but you know, it all adds up. So the FSA have taken their first casualties, but it wasn't the Turkish army that took them, which is, you know, to some extent significant. I'm going to do an attrition. I don't think there's really much point. I should have done attrition last time actually. Nothing. And that's it. So we're sort of moving forward. Now one of the things I'm thinking about is I might be able to sort of use these, well, this irregular unit and these irregular units here to do something surprise against these. But my theory is that there'll be so much pressure against these two routes that they won't be able to afford to commit anything, you know, off tangent like that. I don't want to spend too much time doing this. I mean, my videos just, you know, time just goes by. It always amazes me really how time can go by so quickly. You know, it's just because you're enjoying something. You know, the amount of effort it take to make other things that I'm not interested in, you know, videos of something or other, would be quite phenomenal. Absolutely loads of time. I'm talking about if it wasn't sort of. I've seen some of these people. They do videos and they're called video blogs, and they're quite well made. You know, obviously in a lot of cases, and obviously they make a lot of money. You know, doing these sorts of things. But when you look at them, you realise that they're not just doing video blogs, they're editing it. You know, they've got little things happening, and they all look like they've been to college and have learned the basics of video editing. But to do, you know, a 5-minute video for one of those people probably takes them all day. You know, probably, and for me, obviously, to do this 20-minute video has taken me 20 minutes. Obviously, I had to make the scenario up, but that's actually all part and parcel of some, you know, the bigger project, and I would do that anyway. So, but you know, the time just flies. It's unreal, really. But I don't want to spend too much time just watching it fly. But anyway, so here, again, our strategy has changed now. We've got to sort of say, well, what are we going to do? And I think it's quite, well, we didn't really think about this too much, but I think what we've got to do here, well, this stack, I think, is going to split up into these two hexes here. Let me get the drawing tool out. So we're going to take these. Couldn't do that if I tried. Got that. We do these. We're going to move these two into there. And here, I think we're going to try and accomplish both of these. And then the Turks are going to reinforce accordingly. But I think we're going to try an attrition here. We'll do an assault here, because there's only one, or at least think about it, and continue to just pile in with the artillery and air power. So it's a very tight game. I'm not sure whether they can win, but in theory, in the long term, they will, because they've just got superior firepower and numbers, I think. But you know, the defensive strategy is such that they can hold on. I mean, the Kurds just don't have enough to sort of counter-attack, but they've got quite enough to defend. But obviously, they don't have the capability to defend forever because of the amount of artillery and indirect fire that's being applied. So I'm going to basically, I'm going to move 2 into here, and it gives me the flank. Now here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll move 3 of these. And 1, 2, 3, and 2. Well, this guy can go this way. The armour doesn't like moving through these hills, does it? It's very slow going. And that's that. So we're going to move the artillery first. What's he on now? It's still got some movement, which is good. So this whole section is moving slowly in defence itself, self-defence. But we can now fire onto this stack here. And we'll get a big advantage as they're mechanised against their infantry. 3.9.5. Oh, 6.4, 2.9, 0. Routes. Yeah, failed morale. Now that's the artillery effect, you see. So there's no point in actually committing to endless assaults, which cause damage, when we've got the artillery to slowly erode what is in these stacks, their defensive capability. So what are they on now? 4.2, 0.6. Well, let's just see what we can do over here first. Yeah. Does the mechanised not want to go through mountain hills, but he'll go there? I know he's moved, 0.7, okay. Okay. So the odds are going to be a bit too tight there, but what we can do, I think, is some attrition at the very least. I mean, he's going to be worth 6 on his own, and we're going to be worth 6 and 12, so that'll be 2 to 1. But again, I don't want to do those sorts of odds, so 2 to 1, but that was unsuccessful. No problems. Here, so he's going to be worth, he's going to be worth 6 basically, and 9. So that'll be worth 6, 10, 14, 18, 22. So that'll be a 2 to 1 again, with a 10% bonus, 24. And these will probably be worth 25, 26, 27. That could be a 3 to 1. That could be pushing it towards 3 to 1. But let's do an attrition. 2. That was good. That was good. So look at that. The intricacies of how this is working. And I didn't even use my air power. Could be worth sending that in so we can get her out. No routes, but increase the damage. See, now the prospect of these irregulars coming out and causing these trouble now becomes a lot lower when you consider the seriousness of the situation over here. I mean, they've lost unit to route and they've got another one on the edge. See what we can do here. Nothing. So okay, that's it. I'm going to do one more turn. Again, I don't want to go too far, to be quite honest. Right, so with that in mind, 3 depressions, 6.3. He really needs to be pulled back, regardless. But here, the same situation is going to start to happen, so they probably want to move forward. But we've got the option here to move forward and cause some trouble. Okay, well one of these is in there, so where do we want to fire this at? I think we want to fire whatever we can here. Let's do this one, make sure we've got that done. 0.2. That's good. 2 and 2. So that's the sort of damage that they can't afford to be taking. So it's sort of an interesting position. Movement wise, I haven't actually done any movement here, have I? See, look, armour. Now, if we had this anti-tank in range, we could attack it. Okay, what can we do here? Perhaps they shouldn't have moved forward. That's going to be worth 5, 10. This could be a 7 to 1. Right, they're going to be 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18 times 20%. 18, 20, 21.6. Here we were 4, 8. This could be a 6 to 1, a 5 to 1, and a DR with a really bad die roll. So they could have really done some damage there. So they've got a propaganda victory there, or pushing some of the Turkish-backed militants back. But the thing is, they weren't the Turkish army, so that's where it's not going to really be as damaging to them. You know, it's tight really, because they've now pushed their units, or a bulk of their troops, south of that pass down there. They should be able to bring them back quite quickly, but it is still, you know, going through hills, leaving this slightly more exposed. You know, so we've got to think, well, was it worth it just to push one unit back? And they will recover. We will move them out, I think, to make sure that does happen. There's no way we can stack. There's no sensitive stacks here for these irregulars to move in. So we'll end that turn. And I'm going to make it quite quick, and then I'm just going to leave it. Just to see what sort of damage I can do against the Kurds in this turn. Well, let's start off with just the artillery. 0, 2, 0, 0. So lots of fresh legs in there. Okay, so that's 3.3, 2.5, 2.8, 1.1. We've got some air power that we could use. Okay, well, it all adds up. 3.5, 3.2, 3.3. Six, 12, 18, 70%, so we move about 14, 15. So it's still too tight really for a full assault. It would be nice if we could get into that hex, but they've now dug in. So, but what we will be able to do this turn is to, let's just look at the map. It's very tight here, but we can move all of this here. Yep, it's not going to move any faster than that, but we can get these units in there now. And I'm going to go for an attrition, because I just don't want to stand the chance of losing, but I think it's going to be 2 or 3 to 1, but let's see how far my guess is. Off. 1 to 1. That did 2 damage, so that's how attrition should work. I mean, if I tried that, it would have been stupid, but the attrition has really, to some extent, it's more effective. It's just the way the rules are set up, whether it's good or not something else. Okay, well that's that. I mean, I think it's interesting. I just don't want to sort of spend too long playing because I just got other things I want to do. But we've got that front line there. I think we'll have to move these units back because I don't want them being attacked again. It doesn't matter because if we're going to be drawing these units down here, they're going to be weakening this stack here. We haven't done that assault yet. What I was thinking actually is just trying to take this stack out first. So let's just see whether or not I haven't got anything extra to do anything, but only worth 2. So we've got 1, 2, 3, but he's not moved, so it'll be 3 to 1. I'm going to do an attrition here because I'm going to leave it, but 0.6, 2 to 1. So what I was sort of getting to there is I think depending on how things stay, we can push here, and once we've got that, we could push some troops into here and really actually get 30% bonus on that stack. And once this is broken, because all his troops are down here and possibly moving in this direction, if they get to there, they're going to have even further to go to get back. Plus we can swing down here and take that, maybe not with these tanks, but certainly with some more of these FSA units. And I'm pretty sure here that sooner or later our indirect fire, our attrition rates will push them back, no matter how threatening they are here. Now they could do some damage against all of these units, but every time they do that, they're moving away from the things they've got to be protecting. And this, I think, this is it. That's the last of their major bulk defense sort of elements. After that, it's going to be sort of quite tight pushing through there. I wish I could play this a lot further, but already it's nearly 40 minutes, and they just woof. That's 40 minutes I'm not going to get back for these more important things that I've got to be doing. And plus I've already spent 20 minutes or half an hour on that first video, which didn't have the movement, etc. But yeah, just looking at it, it's just so intriguing. I just think, oh, if we could do this or we could do that. And I know that other people that have these sorts of inklings will feel compelled to give it a whirl, and if that's you, then you can sign up and give it a go and see how you fare. I think satisfaction is guaranteed unless you're looking for something completely different. But I know what I'm interested in. I think this is just, it's just so many sort of lines, and it's just compelling. I do watch these videos from time to time afterwards, and I sort of think, God, this looks so interesting. I want to play it because I can't even remember the scenarios, and they just look interesting. And when you've got these little lines and things, and it's bizarre how that works, because some of the scenarios don't look very interesting. I'm just going to actually go off on a tangent here and maybe sort of try to explain that. I think it's a Libya campaign, so let's search in Libya. No, it's not. It's Eritrea. That's the one I was thinking about. I think it's Eritrea anyway. There's two of them. There is the Libya one. There's this one here. And I was looking at it, I think that just sucks. They just look so artificial, and what's all this? And then I started looking at the video, and the video actually started to make it look really interesting. And I started looking at here, and it just comes back down to that game we just played. Is when you look at it at a brief glance, they can look pretty sort of, some of them do look pretty good right out of the box. This, I think, it looks a bit challenged out of the box, and so does this Libya one. Let me just go and find it, because I looked at them both today. But and then I came to the conclusion, I sort of think, well, how can we make that better, or what is it really that bad, or here? But the thing is, they're not. Once you actually start playing them, it's that the integrity of the game itself takes over and the suspension of disbelief, not so much in the theatre of war perspective, but in the game perspective, just overwhelmingly takes over everything, and it becomes quite satisfying. So much so that we've seen in this game that we just played here, so we've lost all the squiggly lines. No matter this front line is compelling now. I just want to know what happens next, and it's just fascinating how that actually works. So anyway, I'm going to leave it at that because I just want to talk forever. But if you feel compelled to really, see whether or not you can make one side win or not, whatever your rules are, and whatever your rules for victory are, etc., etc., sign up and give it a go. And I'll speak to you later. Cheers, mate.